আপনারা দেখছেন টকিং পয়েন্ট, সৌজন্যে স্যাপ সলিসিটরস, যে কোনো আইনি পরামর্শের জন্য।
Okay, welcome back. Before the break, we were talking to our guest today, Yasmin Choudhury, about AMC petition. Yes, Yasmin, you were telling me that the AMC petition is suppose you hope that the attitudes of the leaders of the society, the educators in the society will be changed, and they will understand that women have to be given the rights as according to the Quran and not their own interpretation. But what really motivated you to start this? Was some personal experience somewhere?
Yes. My father died, as I said, in 2004. And we were taught that actually, and this is called patrilineal lineage, where property, asset, wealth, although I might have a share in Islam, it's best handled by the men, a man. And so in 2004, I was my own independent woman anyway. It was only in recent years, it's really painful to talk about this, but I had gone to Bangladesh in search of my father, and I started seeing paperwork. I'd stumbled across paperwork where he'd donated, for example, said his estate in Bangladesh 1/3 to charity. And that remains unallocated. And so that's where my experience started. And the more I asked, it's been a very painful process. It's not something that's welcomed in my community. I'd go so far as saying that as a consequence of asking these questions and then saying, okay, well, perhaps I should. It's quite right in the Quran or references, especially because of the work I'm doing. It makes sense to, you know, get access to those shares. That's where it all changed for me. And I found the community that I was once in the circles, I'm not part of that anymore because of this deliberate foray I've made into finding out more about this.
Yeah, it's quite normal in Bangladesh and many other Muslim countries, predominantly Muslim countries, that not just women, but even people who are absent, like somebody working abroad, you see, and the elder brothers or the other siblings find it convenient to distribute the wealth amongst themselves. And oh, you were away, so we thought that you don't need it. See. And by the time this poor chap returns home, he finds that all the land has been taken over by, or whatever the wealth was left by grandfather or father. See. So this is quite normal, and this has been going on for a long time. See.
And that's what fascinates me, because you see, that might be a huge aspect of Islam which is overlooked, which actually might turn opinion round and show how wonderful.
It's not just Islam, it's also against the law of the land.
I'm exploring that actually.
They are not, the law of the land is not according to Sharia, you see. It's not the Sharia law that they are practicing, see. But it's very convenient, you see. They will accept Islamic laws in areas where it is convenient for people to grab others' lands, and then when there is a case or when somebody tries to take them to court or something, it takes ages and ages. And somebody living abroad better give it up.
And it does. And you see, on Sunday it's International Women's Day. I read somewhere, and part of the petition is related to World Islam Day, which is something I wanted to tack onto. And then last year I looked at some statistic, which is 1% of titled land is owned by women globally. And then 1 in 3 women in Europe have stated that they have at some point in their life suffered abuse. Now, a lot of us know as women, and society knows, that if you solve the financial side, a lot of abuse would just go away, because then women would feel that they can stand on their own feet, but as well as that, be a very empowering force. So going back to Bangladesh, what happened is, while I was going out there, I also started to hear the everyday stories of the Bangladeshi villagers,
Yeah.
single mothers, impoverished farmers, people constantly in dispute. There's no welfare state out there. If you might be good at having a business, all it takes is that sudden topple on the road and you're laid out. There's no NHS. So that's when all the questions started, and yeah, that's where I guess my own painful experience.
Well, it's
I want
not a
to
welfare
do something
state.
about
If
it.
you are poor and impoverished, it's a farewell state.
Yeah, yes, you're
They don't want
quite
to know about you.
No, and that's when it started changing, and in a bizarre kind of way. Whereas before I was kept in a bubble, so I'd go to Bangladesh and have nice food.
Obviously.
But I started having a rich experience because I started to really explore and travel. And that's when my love of Bangladesh and Lovedesh and Amkariza was born out of 3 years of saying, hang on Bangladesh, what's the problem here? And maybe, why don't I have a crack at trying to come up with some kind of solution?
It's great that you on your own are trying to do so many things.
Do you know, this is where my belief in Islam has helped a lot. And I often go to those chapters in the Quran. And again, I'd always taught, all you need in life is Allah. There's no one else. You know, when we finish our life, it will be only Him
To
and
Him we
I,
return.
or it, or as I like to call it. And that gives me, honestly, because it is sheer miracle, I don't even know how I do it. I don't even think that if I talk to you about some of the scary moments I've had in Bangladesh, because it's not all been, you know, tickety-boo, it's been very hard.
When did you go to Bangladesh last?
I was out there this time last year, and I'd actually gone with The Guardian newspaper. So that was a wonderful, wonderful trip. I crammed in so much, and it was actually more or less doing the triangle of Bangladesh. So I'm hoping to go out imminently.
That's very interesting, you see. I wanted to ask you about, you write about World Hijab Day. That was 1st of February.
Yes.
Were you ever a hijabi? I've seen a picture somewhere.
Yeah, no, this is what it's come to. And even tonight I was thinking, I wonder if I should wear hijab, because, I tell you what, when I was younger, I'd put it on in front of my elders and my father. And my father always tried to get me to wear hijab permanently, and I didn't want to. So I don't wear hijab. But when the situation requires it, I think it's a personal thing. Absolutely, I do. So on my petition at change.org, you'll see there's a photograph, and it's when I went to visit a madrasa set up and founded by my father and all the girls. I don't think it's appropriate for me to walk in there, because I do respect a country's culture and traditions. So yes, that's how I do it. Having said that, I've caught myself last week, and I never thought I'd do this. I actually put the hijab on because before it was told to me by men to wear it. Now I'm so fortunate and blessed. I have people that I've met through Twitter who wear hijab, and they're very empowered, and I've never come across women like this. And the whole concept of wearing hijab, which has got nothing, in my opinion, to do with a man, it's to do with your relationship with God.
True, true.
As a statement, that has become fascinating for me. So I did put it on, and I thought, okay, before, if you'd asked me that question, I said, never, I'm not going to. Today, I'd say the jury's out. Don't be surprised if I do end up wearing it, actually.
Why do you disagree with a day called World Hijab Day?
Yeah, what my issue was is that actually I fully support the intention behind it, and I'm very concerned, and this is why it comes back to why I'm doing the petition, because sometimes in life you can't just, you know, throw eggs at someone or sit there and criticise. I was always taught to do. Now, World Hijab Day, the intention is brilliant because it's asking people to actually, you know, look at Muslim women, understand the reason. But my objection comes here, is that the hijab, there's a bigger conversation to be had. And not just by women and what we wear and, you know, what you look like. It's actually, to me, what someone wears, it doesn't really make a difference to me. It's what they say, it's how they act and what they do. And that's the conversation that needs to be had. And in light of all the fact that these amazing women I talked about, the financial rates afforded to women, that's the conversation perhaps we should be giving priority to.
True.
Because then it still comes back to objectification. So whether a man wears a beard or a hijab, which I fully support, there is a bigger conversation to be had. That's what I was just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that in your studies about Islam, you have come across terms like huquq al-ibad and huquq Allah.
No.
That there are rights that man has towards God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, and the rights that people have on him as human beings, see, like the rights of your neighbor, the right of your children, the right of your brother, the right
of the poor.
Yes. See, and we are responsible for our acts towards our fellow human beings, you see, and that we ignore. And if I pray 5 times a day, that I'm offering my prayers to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, see, but I should not ignore my neighbors. I should not ignore my underprivileged brothers and sisters, you see. This is the point that most people forget and ignore.
And it's an excellent point you raised, because it calls to mind, going back to why I was very upset with the Islam that I was seeing, and I say that in inverted commas now. I remember a conversation with a female relative in this country, and it was around the time I was setting up Amkariza, and as you have pointed out, I do it all alone. I was going around saying, can someone help me? Why don't you join in the efforts? And she's very devout, and her response shocked me, but I didn't say anything, and her response was, yes, but I need to you know, wash away my sins, I need to pray to Allah, and I'm just so busy focused on that. And for me, having now, and I don't look like this when I go to Bangladesh, I'm walking the fields, I talk to a lot of the women, when they come and say to me that some of them can't get water, when I got a phone call 2 weeks ago from a woman who called me, who's a single mother, saying, you know what, Appa, my daughter has been taken and married off, and because she's a single mother, she's forced to work in a different city, leaving her daughter in the care of her brother, and because women are seen as chattels and as a burden to push off to someone else, and she was so far away she was unable to even attend the wedding, to then hear her daughter calling her and saying, Mom, I don't want to get married, when you and I know that a woman's consent must be.
This is so unfortunate, Yasmin, because it's in a country where the Prime Minister, the opposition leader, the leader of the main opposition, big opposition party, the Speaker of the Assembly, they're all women. We are running out of time for this segment. We'll come back again and we'll continue the discussion. Thank you for being with us. We have to take a commercial break. Don't go away. We'll be back soon.
আপনারা দেখছেন টকিং পয়েন্ট, সৌজন্যে স্যাপ সলিসিটরস, যে কোনো আইনি পরামর্শের জন্য।